if we don't freeze the first column of data, basically where our titles are in this case, when we scroll down, we basically lose that data and we're not too sure what the titles are for each column. So we want to have this fixed, basically frozen. In order to freeze it, what we need to do is we need to come over here to View, and we need to click on Freeze Panes and click on Freeze the top row. So now, as we scroll down, no matter how far down we go, we see the title. It's always fixed. We could also freeze the first column in this same fashion. Basically what we do is we click on Freeze Pane again, and click on Freeze the first column. So now, no matter how far to the right we go, we can see what's in the first column. But what we do lose in this case is we lose the top row. So we don't know what the titles are anymore in this case. So what we want to do is we will need to know how to freeze both top row and the first column. Now I'll show you how to do this, but in order for you to understand how to do this correctly, you need to understand how to freeze multiple rows or multiple columns. And then you understand how you can freeze both top row and first column. So in order to freeze multiple rows and multiple columns, what we're first going to do is going to unfreeze any previously frozen panes. So let's say, for example, I want to freeze everything up to row 15. So from 15 and up, I want this all frozen. So what we need to do is we need to click on the row directly after the ones that we want frozen. So I'm going to click on 16. So anything above 16 is now going to be frozen. What I need to do is I need to click on Freeze Panes and say Freeze Panes. So as I scroll down, everything from 15 and up is frozen. Now notice, when we use Control Home, the Control Home feature, it will take us to the first cell after the frozen cells. So in this case, it's cell 16A right there. Now to unfreeze this, again, we go click on Freeze Pane and click on Unfreeze Panes. Now to do the same thing for columns, same way basically, let's say we want to freeze column A and B, so we need to click on column C, click on Freeze Panes, and Freeze Panes again. So now as we go towards the right, the first two columns remain frozen. So to freeze now the first row and the first column, we want to unfreeze all previously frozen work. Now we need to click on the cell that's after the first row and after the first column. So in this case, that cell would be B2. So B2 meaning it's below the first row and after the first column. So we click on B2 and we say Freeze Panes, Freeze Panes. And now as we scroll down, the top row remains frozen and the first column remains frozen. So no matter how far we go, we get to see that data. We get to see that stuff that's frozen. We can also freeze multiple rows and multiple columns in the same way, unfreeze any previous work, and let's now freeze the first two rows and the first two columns. So what's after the first two rows? It's row 3. What's after the first two columns? It's column C. So we click on column C3 and we say Freeze Panes. So now as we scroll down, the first two columns are frozen, the first two rows are frozen, and as we scroll to the right, the first two columns are frozen.